All right, here we go. Perfect. Okay. Hi, everybody. Just as a reminder again, I'm Catherine Del Rosario. I'm an attorney at McEntee Law Group. We're based in Chicago. We practice exclusively immigration law. And someone from our team likes to come on here each month on the first Friday of every month to go over some immigration news, answer your questions. I know there's probably a lot. It's been a wild, wild month so far. So if you have questions, please put them into the comments and I will work my way through those as well. Okay. We have some questions that were sent ahead of time, but before I go into that, I just wanted to go over some recent news items, and there is quite a bit, so we have a lot to tackle. Probably what is on a lot of people's minds are these mass deportations. We're seeing them across the country, targeted in, what are known to be sanctuary cities, including our own here in Chicago. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of reports of ICE sightings and raids. I can't confirm all of those, but we have heard from people who have encountered ICE, that ICE officers are coming into homes and workplaces, sometimes with the right documentation and sometimes not. So, in general, I just want to, reiterate our support for our immigrant neighbors and communities. Um, I'm encouraged that I'm encouraged by one of the news articles that I saw that said Chicago is educated and prepared for situations like this. I don't love to see it happening in my own city, but it's a good thing that folks here know their rights. And just as a reminder to you, you don't need to speak to law enforcement um, without an attorney. You don't need to let them into your home without a warrant that isn't signed by a judge. So I would reach out to your local community-based organizations that do this type of work, know your rights work. The ones that come to mind are Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Reach out to an attorney or an accredited representative just to kind of help talk you through what a safety plan could look like. We were featured on the news a couple of times last month to talk about this very topic, which hits close to home for everyone, but for parents, especially for teachers who are super concerned about how these raids can impact kids. If you are thinking, what do I need to carry? Well, how should I be prepared? I think just some general pointers are to carry copies of your immigration documents. That could be your work permit, your passport, receipt notices for any cases that you have going with immigration, and a list of emergency contacts. That would be like your attorney, your closest, relative or friend that you trust. Um, some instructions about, childcare if you do have a child, and make sure that that trusted person also has a copy of those same things. Again, we're here to talk with you about more of these know your rights items. But if you're scared, we feel that with you. That is totally understandable. We just, want you to know that there is help out there. There is support out there in not just attorney communities, but community organizations, and some of our strongest partners like CPS alike. So please don't hesitate to reach out for help. Kind of related to this, one of the first things that we saw out of the Trump administration was a pullback on this longstanding policy that said that ICE could not, conduct their enforcement activities in sensitive locations, such as churches, hospitals, and schools. And the administration rolled back that policy, making it making it acceptable to go into these sensitive locations. However, those institutions can implement policies of their own. For example, I think CPS is kind of setting the standard for other school districts on how to handle ICE presence at schools. They defer to calling the school district's attorney immediately and not, allowing ICE officers into the school. I hope that this is the norm across all school districts, but I know every community looks, kind of different. Okay, another item that I wanted to discuss that might be on your mind is TPS for Venezuela in particular. This was recently terminated just a few days ago. So the Department of Homeland Security terminated an earlier decision that would have extended TPS for Venezuelans until October 2026. Now, those who registered under the old designation, their TPS will expire on April 2nd of this year. So for Venezuelans who are on TPS now, it's going to be super important that you seek legal advice to know what, alternative options may be available for you prior to April 2nd so that you can keep work authorization, so that you can switch to another status if that's available. I think just having, solid legal advice, knowing what your options are going to be really, really important. Okay. USCIS has also waived the COVID-19 vaccine requirement for green card applicants. So this policy has been standing for a while, but for all green card applicants, you're required to complete a medical exam. As part of that medical exam, the authorized physician will want to confirm that you have all the necessary vaccines so that you don't have communicable diseases that can endanger the public. So the change, COVID was one of those at one point, so now it won't be. The other ones I think will still stand. So the ones that come to mind are like whooping cough, tuberculosis, kind of your standard vaccines. Okay, and then we have H-1B cap season coming up. So this is going to be especially important for recent grads or those who graduated college or grad school in the last couple of years. This is your opportunity for an employer to enter you in the lottery to hopefully, if selected, be able to get an H-1B specialty occupation visa. This type of visa is intended for individuals who will work in a specialty occupation, meaning one that typically requires a bachelor's in a specific degree, and you have that degree. The STEM occupations come to mind, but there are also many, many others in the arts, in business, in the legal field. So if you're wondering if your prospective job offer qualifies, make sure that you reach out to an attorney. And if this is your first time, you will have to enter the lottery. And any number of employers can enter you in this lottery. So in the past, let's say you had 5 job offers and 5 different employers entered you, you would essentially have 5 tickets in the lottery. So things have kind of changed where it's become more of an employee-centric system where you could have multiple job offers, but you still have the same chances as everybody else, which is a good thing. We're seeing that should lead to, higher selection rates and better chances for everybody. So the upcoming lottery will begin March 7th, and it will run for 2 weeks. So during that 2 weeks, it's not first come, first serve. It's just get your registration in on time. And then by the end of the month, typically we'll find out if you were selected. And then the employer that you choose to go with, if the job offer is still on the table, will file your H-1B case. And if you are in the United States, your work authorization could potentially be, like if you were on OPT or STEM OPT, it could be automatically extended if timely filed, so that come October 1st, which is the first day that all new H-1B folks, transition to their new status, you you will remain work authorized during that time. If you're outside the United States and your case is approved, you'll be able to obtain you'll have to apply to get your H-1B visa and then be able to come into the States around that same time, October 1st. H-1Bs are probably the most common temporary, work visa. It's something that I work on a lot. I love these types of cases. It's often people's kind of like first major step in their immigration journey if they were a student here. And often, not always, but it can lead to a green card if your employer is open to sponsoring you for that. But H-1B is often like your first foot in the door, and you can't get it unless you enter the lottery. So make sure that you're keeping those deadlines in mind. March 7th is the opening day. I guess I should also mention there are other options for H-1B, like potential H-1B employees. If your employer there are certain employers that don't have to use this lottery. The logic being that they're unique and need to be able to hire H-1B employees any time of the year. So that would include institutions of higher ed, nonprofit research institutions, or nonprofits that are affiliated with universities. So those folks can actually sponsor H-1B employees anytime without having to enter them in the lottery. Regardless, the visa is still valid or the status is valid for 3 years and renewable for another 3. Okay, let's see what else. We have several exciting webinars coming up right in time for Valentine's Day on February 12th. Myself and my colleague Natalia are going to be going over options for couples. So this will include the K-1 fiance visa, as well as the marriage-based green card option or marriage-based immigrant visa option. So tune in for that. On February 19th, Ryan will be going over the whole H-1B cap process. So we kind of went over it briefly here, but he'll go in depth about what's all involved in H-1B. And then on March 5th, Ray will be doing a webinar on Irish citizenship. Okay, that's one of our most popular, so save the date for those. 212, options for couples. 219, H-1B. 35, Irish citizenship. Okay, and then also, this is super exciting. We have an O1 for influencers and content creators guide coming out very soon, put together by our managing partner, Fiona, and our senior attorney, Anna Potter. This is really exciting. This is an area of the law that is like constantly changing because I think content creation is constantly changing. Okay, Ray is claiming the Irish webinar will be the best one. I think, we'll see. We'll see. But it's awesome that everyone from our team is putting out content this month and next month. Okay, so look out for that content creator guide coming soon. Okay, and now turning to questions that you guys sent ahead of time. And just a reminder, please add any questions that you have into the comments as well. This first one, if same-sex marriage is federally reversed, can I still apply for removal of conditions? Well, I mean, currently individuals in same-sex marriages can apply for removal of conditions on their permanent residence. So how does this come up? If you are applying for a green card and you have been married for less than 2 years, you're going to get a conditional green card. So it has like strings attached. You have to apply to remove conditions before that 2-year deadline is up. And if you're filing together, if you're still together, then you have to show, continued proof that you are a couple. And so the question is, if same-sex marriage or recognition of same-sex marriage were reversed, what would happen? I mean, I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that it would impact ability to remove conditions. But I think such a big change would involve very complex legal processes and potential challenges, because if it was valid at the time and now you're saying that it's not, I mean, I can foresee complications. But as of now, removal of conditions is still possible for same-sex couples. Has there been any news on Trump's promise to give green cards to international students? I saw this going around. I don't know of any updates to this. It's quite a departure from his other sentiments about immigrants and welcoming immigrants. While I'd love that, I would think, that also involves changes to our immigration policy, because right now, as it stands, you can either, generally speaking, you can get a green card through family or employment based. And in some cases, you can self-petition. So I think the blanket statement that he's going to give green cards to all international students, I don't know how that exactly would work, but I haven't seen any updates there. Okay. Any updates on applying for citizenship with great-grandparents from Ireland? So for great-grandparents, applying for citizenship, it's not a direct claim, and it is a discretionary process with like a much higher standard than applying for citizenship, kind of the typical route. But our other managing partner, Ray, takes these cases on, and we have partnered with another firm in Ireland to help expand this work. So if you're thinking you might qualify, I would definitely reach out or go to his webinar. It's supposed to be the best one. Okay. And then another question is, will the new administration slow any visas in process? How to answer this? Oh, Ray says you can also DM him. So he's Ray Visa Lawyer on Instagram if you have questions about Irish citizenship. Okay. How do I answer this? I expected actually that we would see kind of slowdowns in different types of cases like right away after the inauguration. In my experience, I mean, processing times can always vary. I know there are many people out there waiting a really long time for different things, green card, citizenship. In general, I'm actually seeing green cards and citizenship move at kind of a similar pace as they were during the last administration. But what I've been kind of telling clients is just to manage their expectations, because as all of these executive orders come through, particularly ones about travel bans or restrictions on certain countries from getting non-immigrant visas or immigrant visas, while it might not affect your country or they're not naming the country that you're from, where you might feel it is in delays caused at the embassy. There's only embassies all over the world. USCIS field offices across the country are all understaffed in general. They're all, they have their backlog of cases. And as these executive orders get implemented, if they get implemented, you see staff having to meet that need. And some of the cases that, while they are approvable, could take longer to process. We saw that during Trump's first administration. where it's not like cases were getting necessarily denied more, but it it was a long time until you could get an appointment at your embassy, just because so many people were waiting for appointments or experiencing difficulty scheduling. Um, I mean, the pandemic was also happening, so that's part of it. But I don't think we haven't heard of any specific directive for certain visa processes to slow down. Premium process is still an option for many non-immigrant visas. Um, it is expensive. It's in some cases it's almost $3,000. So, but it is an option for some. Okay, I'm looking to other questions. I see you here in the StreamYard. Okay, how much is registration expected for the 2026 lottery? What's the chance of winning the lottery this year? So that's a really good question because the registration fee changed quite a bit. So in previous years, it was a $10 registration fee, and that is shooting up to $215. So for every for a national that is entered, that $215 registration fee will apply. Now, the chances of winning, I think they vary on a few factors, but in general, you see, somewhere between the 20 to 25% chance of being selected. But one thing that I noted earlier that is significant is that the system has shifted from employer centric to employee centric, meaning that no matter how many employers enter the same person into the lottery, that same person has the same chances as everybody else. This is a welcome change, and it's actually, it's very beneficial to the employee themselves. They have more bargaining power in the process because they can go with whichever offer they want, essentially, if they are the ones who are being chosen. But yeah, to answer your question, fee is jumping up to $215. Okay. There's just a general question about how you can call in. We're not doing like video call in on this live, but you can type in your questions. I am answering them. If you have specific questions about your situation, you can always set up a consultation with us. Our socials are posted here. But yeah, if you have general questions, feel free to put them into the chat. Just going to check if I'm missing any other ones. That's my dog itching himself on the side. Don't worry about him. Okay. Let's see. That might be it. Just some final reminders. Again, the webinars that are coming up are all packed with incredible information. Again, we have February 12th, options for couples. That's the fiance visa or the spousal visa or spousal green card option. February 19th is understanding the whole H-1B cap process. March 5th is Irish citizenship. And then we have our 01 for our influencers and content creators guide coming out as well. So please be on the lookout for that. I'm going to hop off of this and hop onto TikTok in just a sec to kind of do a very similar thing. So I'll see you over there if you want to repeat. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining. We'll be back next month, next first Friday with another attorney. So thanks, guys.